Hey everyone, it's Kong again with another episode of Should You Summon. As always, I'm going to be presenting high-level overviews to help you decide whether this banner is worth your hard-earned vouchers and crystals. I'm back from vacation. I'm sorry about missing the last couple of episodes. It's easy for me to release anything that I have pre-recorded when I go into vacation mode, but then I obviously can't record new stuff while I'm away. So we had to miss a couple of recurring Destiny banners there. I figured they were easy ones that you may have needed less guidance for, so hopefully it wasn't too impactful. Hopefully you didn't miss me too much, but we're back for the important one. This month we've got the launch of two more Langrisser mobile OCs, Ashemar and Lostham. This banner will run for the duration of the monthly update from August 18th to September 14th. And as a rate-up banner, you have a 40% chance to get each on-banner character, with the remaining 20% reserved for any other hero in the regular summoning pool. So let's go right ahead and get started with Ashemar. Yes, that's her new name for global. Ashemar is a magical DPS with a gimmick that boosts her and a partner of her choice. This is her dance formations. Basically, after she acts, she chooses a dance partner, and then this part of her talent goes on cooldown for 3 turns, so she can't just keep choosing someone new every turn. For the duration of the buff, she and her partner both get boosted stats and immunity to stun. If she's adjacent to her partner, they both get an additional boost to their defensive stats. If they're one space diagonal from each other, they get an additional boost to their offensive stats. And if they're 3 spaces away but not in a straight line from each other, they can move 2 spaces after dealing damage, so those are the 3 dance positions. Her 3-cost skill is a simple single-target magical attack that also deals fixed damage if you're in one of the dance positions. It also triggers a buff where if Ash or her partner is attacked, the attacker takes fixed damage. Finally, the first time you cast this spell from each of the 3 dance positions, you get a free -3 to your cooldown. And the cooldown of this skill is 3, so it basically means you get to use it again next turn if you want to. Theoretically, this means she can use this skill, 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a row, as long as you're really careful with your positioning and you have the opportunity to attack from those positions. She has a unique skill that pulls a nearby ally to her side, then buffs her, the pulled unit, and her dance partner, then lets her act again, so this is just an interesting little approach skill. She also has another unique skill that's kind of like Dark Reaper, except it heals her partner instead of herself. Other than that, she has a variety of generic single-target and AoE spells, but nothing as interesting as her unique stuff. She's a member of Origins of Light, buffed by Dehart, Jugler, and Freya, Princess Alliance, buffed by Luna, Shelfaniel, and Christiane, and Mythical Realm, buffed by Gizaroth and the Sage of the Trees. For bonds, she unlocks the defensive bond for her banner mate, Lostham, and for her own bonds, she needs the original Brenda for her defensive bond, and the original Florentia for her attack bond. For content, in PvE she's on faction for Leviar and Valkyrie, although the positional requirements of the dances might make it difficult to get optimal use out of her against these big bosses. This could be part of the reason we haven't seen her make a splash in any of the high-scoring leaderboard teams in Ancient Beckoning. She is apparently a really valuable unit to have in the new Ragnarok of the Realms PvE mode that's, not coincidentally, also coming out this week. This is the new mode that lets you further upgrade the potential of your covenants, so it'll be important to stay on top of it. On the PvP side, she's one of those units who looks to have interesting potential, but she's tricky to use. The complex nature of her kit, combined with the fact that there are other magical DPS units who have both more flexibility and more sheer output, means it's hard to find a place to slot her in. You're not going to drop Lucretia for her, for example. Okay, let's move on to Lostham. Lostham is a beefy physical DPS who can disable tanks and assassinate non-tanks. He gets a passive stat boost and the ability to ignore melee damage penalty just from having enemies nearby. He can move 2 spaces after attacking, and every couple turns he can retreat even further using his hookshot. He can target a defensive terrain or another unit with his hook, and pull himself over to it, and while he's being pulled, the game pretends he's a flying unit, which is basically a coding explanation for how he can pull himself across sky tiles, for example. So his talent is basically bonuses when enemies are nearby, plus hit and run mechanic. His 3-cost skill passively increases his damage dealt and counterattack range if he ends his turn on defensive terrain. It's also a single target attack that boosts his crit rate, stuns the target before battle if his skill stat is higher than theirs, and heals him after battle. His unique 2-cost skill is a guard-ignoring attack that inflicts an undispellable mobility down debuff. This is fairly standard, but it's good to have in his kit since his 3C doesn't actually ignore guard. His unique 1-cost skill is another mobility booster, basically like the hookshot from his talent, except in reverse, pre-action. So you can hook yourself to a target defensive terrain or unit, then move 2 more spaces, then attack. In case you've been wondering why I've been talking about the new bow, Lurker's Sting, in my last few videos, it's because it was basically made for him. As long as you move 3 spaces or less before combat, which remember, Lostham's pre-battle act again lets him move 2 additional spaces, you get +1 unit range. So, if you've breezed or caught a Tenyo breeze, you can move 5, hook yourself a couple more spaces ahead, then move 2 more spaces, attack at 3 range, then retreat 2 spaces, hook yourself even further away after that, to end up on defensive terrain where you get bonus counterattack range. He's a member of Origins of Light, buffed by Dehart, Jugler, and Freya, Strategic Masters, buffed by Ultimuller and Lanford, and Meteor Strike, buffed by Zerida and Epsilon. For bonds, he unlocks the attack bond for the upcoming new character Annie, and for his own bonds, he needs Bannermate Ashemar for his defensive bond, and Ironblood Commander for his attack bond. For content in PvE, he's on faction for Phoenix, Scylla, and Valkyrie in the Eternal Temple. Any unit with a free hit and run mechanic can be valuable in run-of-the-mill PvE like Story, Time Rift, and so on. So if you pull him on a new account, you could try to run him as a kind of Origins of Light version of Leon, buffed by Freya. Obviously though, where he truly shines is in PvP, where range is king. Being able to make unpredictable approaches and cause devastation, either by assassinating a unit or by stunning someone, is super valuable to pretty much any team. And by doing so, you're not necessarily sacrificing him in a trade thanks to his almost unprecedented ability to get away afterwards. We've already seen just how dominating this freedom to attack and then get out of danger can be, with Kyra and Lucretia's teleports for example, so here's another unit who can do that, super dangerous. So that brings us to the notes for noobs. Ashemar is going to be very useful in the Ragnarok of the Realms PvE mode, and she unlocks a bond for Lostham. Those 2 things alone are enough to make her worth summoning for later game accounts. Newer accounts probably won't have to worry about Ragnarok of the Realms for a while, and either won't have Lostham or won't really need to care about min-maxing him enough to have his defensive bond yet, so she becomes less of a priority for you there. Her own bonds aren't exactly common either, so summoning her to use as a general-purpose mage might be a tall order. It might be best to wait till she shows up on a Destiny banner later on. Lostham is a new PvP beast. He's the kind of character who can fit into any box and make his magic happen, along the lines of Watham and Lucretia, so if you care about PvP at all, you should definitely summon him. Finally, we've got my usual reminder about upcoming banners. So this has been the next marquee must-summon banner for a long time now, so what do we look forward to next? Well, the next 2 major updates feature characters that can be useful in the right situation, but the next meta-shifting unit is going to be Gintoki from the Gintama crossover that's most likely happening in early November. That's not as far away as it sounds, so don't go getting reckless with your hard-earned vouchers and crystals just yet. In the more immediate future, we have a raid-up banner featuring Emperor Lavina and Mariandel next week, a Destiny banner featuring the Saint of the Ark, Shilinka, and Zerida, and the return of the Build-A-Banner workshop a week later. This new Build-A-Banner will allow you to wishlist characters up to and including the Ironblood Commander and Archon of the Moon, so Azusa, Oboro, Kaguya, and Caroline are off the table. The final week of the update will give us recurring Destiny banners featuring Brenda, Sigma, and Suzette, and Landius, Yulia, and Jugler. Anyway, that's it for this episode, so let us know on the Discord or in the comments below what kind of luck you had on your Lostham summons, or if you're deciding to skip. As good as he looks, I'm probably going to be trying to summon one copy of Lostham and then stopping. I'm bad enough at PvP that slowly sharding him up the normal way in the background isn't exactly going to make or break me for my Apex season. Unlike a lot of players, I can't exactly count on playoffs being a deadline that I need to meet, so not going to really worry about that yet. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I wish you all the best of luck in your summons, and I'll catch you in the next Should You Summon. Extra special and overdue thanks to our Langrisser tier channel members for generously and patiently supporting the channel directly. Shout out to Levitt, Derek Gunderson, Kate Soon, Jared Portela, Jerome Meyer, Shara Ilimirius, and Harambe for making my life a lot easier and helping me with this channel. Thank you so much, everyone.